Hello and welcome to our show. This is Dale Matthews and this is Mike Jones. Hello, Mike Jones.
Hey Dale, so it seems as though you've had a change of heart. Then I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, it's a little ironic. I love Texas. Yeah, sure
Yeah.
you do. Okay,
Texas, yeah, I
so
love Texas too.
Texas, yeah, don't mess with taxes.
Yes.
So what we're going to do this evening is something in which we specialize, and that's presenting these from our website front page are city councilors talking about the sales tax and grants pass. And so we're going to let them have their say, and then we're going to talk about them. And then we've also already posted their videos so that you can see those without commentary. You don't want commentary? You got it. So
Yes.
we're happy to provide that to you. It's already out there, but tonight's our turn to kind of let them talk a little. Then we'll say, and then talk, and then we'll comment and talk and comment, and that's what we do on the show. First, though, we're going to start off with something that I saw happening today out in front of the county courthouse. It's a little piece of breaking news. I believe we're the only news media that was there. They were ever so grateful to get their chance to say why there were about 50, somewhere between 50 and 70 people at their peak out in front of the county courthouse protesting, and this fellow will explain to you why.
Hello, I'm John Sled, and I've been asked why did I show up for this protest in front of the Josephine County Courthouse today, and I've chosen to hold this sign: Planned Parenthood sells and profits from fetal baby body parts. And I just felt like standing out here and representing a voice of protest against this injustice in America. I don't think it's right to take the life of an innocent human being, particularly egregious that you would take that life and sell the body parts. I believe that's illegal and immoral. The question that I would have for anybody considering the issue of abortion is, when is it right to take the life of an innocent human being? And most people say never. And then we could play that out. Is it ever right to take the life of an innocent human being as a child? How about as an unborn child? And most people reason that it's just not socially just to do that. Planned Parenthood, although they pose as a philanthropic organization helping people plan pregnancies, the fact that they really advocate and profit from abortion is particularly disturbing to me. And that people, conservative Christians like myself, knowing that my tax dollars support this process that I find immoral, is a real problem. So I want to stand up and say that I disagree with that. And I'd advocate defunding Planned Parenthood. I mean, not only should it cease and desist, but certainly the tax dollars of people in opposition should not be used. We should not be forced to pay into that. So I really recommend that the Congress defund any federal funding. I recommend that the state of Oregon defund any tax revenues that would flow into this organization that is dismembering human beings for profit. Thank you.
Mike?
Okay. Yes. Well, you know what? I share this guy's feelings. Actually, now, you know, the argument that you'll get from the other side of this equation is that, well, you know, the abortion is only a very small percentage of what these people do, and no government funding is used to fund abortions. Well, of course, the argument to that is that any money that you pour into an organization funds everything that they do. It makes it easier for listen, when we gave 50 grand to Rogue Roasters, you know, we weren't giving it to them to buy coffee. We were giving it to them to, you know, help out with the building of this, you know, or whatever it was that they asked for this money for. But, it means that they have more money to buy coffee. It means they have more money to, you know, put into ads and, you know, things of that nature. So I share this guy's opinion. I personally, I think if you look at an ultrasound and you see what's being done, and there are videos out there on the internet, anybody who wants to torture yourself by going on YouTube and watching ultrasounds of abortions, you can do that. And, you know, I don't think you can think about it the same after that. But, you know, that's just my opinion. I'm glad that, you know, he's standing out there doing that.
I'm happy that we could provide them an opportunity to say their opinion. I personally would like to see people from the opposite point of view being able to see their opinion. I think that it's okay in this life as hardy Americans that we can listen to different points of view. They asked me when I arrived, well, everybody was asking me at one time or another, what's your opinion? And I said, I'm really here to listen to you, and you can depend on the Daily Courier, which is an odd phrase altogether. You can wait for a TV station to show up and they'll shoot 30 seconds, but they'll shoot half an hour and then give you 30 seconds and talk over half of it. Here's an opportunity for you to speak at length anything that you want to say about all this, and hey, take 20 minutes. That's okay. This was the first guy that I talked to. Go ahead.
I'm sure that if you want to, you can get plenty of tape with pro-abortion people talking. I mean, they'll go on at great length about their beliefs. They won't be shy about that. So if you want that, you can certainly get it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you know what? We have an email address here that you can certainly probably use either one of these, but you know, on board at budget.net if you feel strongly on the other side and you want to, you know, get your word out.
Right. And you can contact us and say, hey, you know, we've got things to say. I would suggest you come to a weekly business session. People do on a variety of subjects, and you can say anything that you want, and we'll be there and we'll tape it, unless you were like one of the ladies the other day that ran out of the room practically leaving a dust swirl behind her. You know, we'll talk to you about it. And we're getting a lot of flack, and it is increasing from people who don't want to hear both sides. Okay, don't listen. But they don't want anyone else to hear both sides either. And that really bothers me. And we'll talk about that on Monday on people who, well, like happened with Harry Mackin and City Councilor Roy Lindsay, who people were invited to come and talk to them about taxes. And they were invited guests, and they were trying to shut them down and not let them speak. And, you know, well, that's not true. And hey, you know, listen. Try to be an American. Listen to what people have to say. Compare the two sides. Make your own decision, but don't try to stop everybody else from hearing them. You don't want to hear them? You can get up and leave the room like John McCafferty did, the head of IT, when I spoke at a SOS meeting about why some of us are opposing, a majority of us are opposing the tax, the higher property taxes. Well, this guy was so adamant that he didn't want to hear the other side that he got up and left the room. You can do that, okay? God bless you. Good luck in later life. But don't be out there advocating that nobody should hear that other point of view.
Yes.
What's the matter with you? So Mike and I are we're right on the front line on this. It just is a mystery to me, the fact that we're showing both sides, not even our opinions. That's got nothing to do with it for these guys. They don't want both sides shown. They'll shut it down so you can't listen to it.
Yes, that's right. And that's, you know, I don't know. I have been of the political persuasion that gets that treatment all the time for most of my adult life. So I'm not surprised by it. It is a little bit weird because, you know, most of the videos that we're putting out here are just people saying what they say. There isn't anything in that except that's the raw data, people. Look at it, make your own judgment. You don't have to agree or disagree with that person. And I think the content of these videos is pretty even-handed. At least it's representative of what happened at that meeting. So, you know, don't get all carried away here. You know, if you don't like it, then rebut right underneath. There's plenty of room for you to make a comment.
These people are actually characterizing you and me as evil people with
Yes.
some kind of evil intent because we're presenting both sides of an argument.
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
That's
okay.
just bizarre to me. It's not the country I grew up in.
And listen, who are we? We're some guys. We show up every night at 7:00 on YouTube, but you have to seek us out. We're not coming, knocking on your door and putting a screen in your face. You have to want to come here.
That's very interesting that you brought that up, because at this meeting, at this rally today against abortion and against experimentation with fetal tissue, this lady comes, she's, I love your show. I love you and Mike. You guys are doing a great job. You got to talk with these guys. These guys are great. They're wonderful. And everybody's like, oh, okay, don't know who these guys are, but okay, whatever. And she's saying, she says, now, did you get a call yet from the Nielsen rating people? I said, Nielsen rating? Because I know Nielsen does ratings.
Yes.
I mean, did they look at who watches television and listens to radio and everything? She says, yeah, I got a call from the Nielsen rating people just yesterday, and maybe they'll call you too. And I don't know, maybe they will. Well, when I got home, I got a call from the Nelson Rating Company. And I said, did you just say Nelson? They said, yes, we did. And we're doing a survey about what do you think about raising the grants pass sales tax?
Oh, interesting.
And I said, and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't want to be insulting to the lady. Very interesting that you picked a name. It sounded like something we all know. Mm-hmm. Nelson ratings. It's like, would you like a Dr. Pfeffer? Or you want a Coik? I think I'll have a soda pop called a Coik. No. Okay. Poopsie. Yeah, right. So I said,
was there an opinion to this? I mean,
were
they
an
opinion?
Yeah. She said, so I'd like to ask you some questions. I said, well, I just have one question for you first. Who do you represent? Who's hiring you to do this? Well, we don't talk about that.
Oh, really? Said, well, then you can forget about my opinion then.
That's exactly what I told her. I said, yes. So you may be getting a call too. If they don't want to tell you who hired them to do this.
That's like, hi, I'm calling you to ask what your credit card number is. Well, who do you represent? Well, that's none of your business. Oh, okay.
Well, let me get that for you.
Yes. Yeah. Would you like Visa or MasterCard? Ridiculous.
Oh, man. Okay. So what we're going to do, this is very pedantic today. We're going to play these things. We're going to parse their sentences, but that's just a euphemism. We're going to play back bits and pieces of what they say, sentence by sentence, nothing cut out. And then Mike and I are going to talk. Now, if you don't like that approach, you probably do. But if you don't, you can get it's already posted. Go see it, or you could call them up. Hey, tell me your opinion. I don't want to listen to anyone else's. Whatever.
There's plenty of opinion TV shows on that have clips on there, and they give their opinion on stuff. They don't have to put disclaimers out first. So just understand, listen, what show you're watching, and you're going to get our opinions here. If you don't like it, you can wait. And Dale's going to put the stuff out and with no opinion attached to it. So you feel free to go watch that.
It's just that I'm so amazed. I'm just so amazed that there's this movement that is building momentum to stop Mike and I. And I'm not. It's not like you're at a football game. I wonder if those guys in the huddle are talking about me. No, but really, people are talking about us and what we're doing. And I don't like the fact that they're showing both sides, and that must be stopped. And okay, don't listen. No. No one should listen to. Hey, wait a minute.
You know what, though?
I
tend to think that those people who,
like Harry Mackin and Roy Lindsay, city councilor, really?
Yes, but I mean, a lot of the people that object to what we're doing on this show view us as an opponent of their views. Now, if you're coming into the situation objectively, you may not look at that and go, well, these guys is this side or that side. You won't get that hearing from me because I'm going to tell you what side I'm on, and Dale generally will too. But I'm doing it on the basis of certain facts. I don't have a personal say. As a matter of fact, on the subject of sales taxes, I'm a loser if this thing doesn't pass. I will end up. It will end up saving me money if the jail levy is taken off of my normal property taxes.
As we were talking
just so
about.
you know.
As we were talking about last night about the expansion of the wild and scenic parts of the Rogue and everything, I'm generally in concert with people who would like to see wonderful wild rivers, and you can go down there on your inner tube, and hopefully cars won't jump off the highway and kill you. And there's a story about that. You'd watch last night's show, and so you get a chance to do that. But as you're passing by some guy's property and he's got a barn and it's behind a berm where you can't even see it from the river, why would the government be involved in telling that guy what color he can paint his barn?
Well, because they're the government, and that's what they like to do, micromanage people's lives.
See, so it's going too far. Okay, I personally think that being the first city in the whole state that would put on a sales tax, I think that's going too far. That's my opinion. I believe that's Mike's opinion. But now we're going to let you hear the opinions of city councilors, and then we're going to tell you our opinions about their opinions. That's what we do.
Okay.
I think our poll is the vote in November. I mean, if we go out and it comes back 48-51, what are we going to do then? If it comes back 50-50, half are in favor, half are not, then we're still back to this point of spending a little bit of political capital, as the mayor said.
Oh, yeah, they're spending political capital. All right, that's right.
Yes. Well, and listen, that's the one part I like about this. They are spending their political capital, and guess what? There's only so much of that, so don't waste it. And listen, they're taking a little bit of heat off of themselves by putting this up to a vote of the people. If they did what they really wanted to do and just enact it, that shoots a big wad of capital. So they've made a calculated decision here about how much political capital they want to spend. They wanted to spend a little bit of it and hope to get the result that they want.
They just waited just long enough after some recovery from this thing of spending whatever it was, $5 million a piece on bus stops that are, that have artwork or something. And so they just gotten over that. And now they're coming back in with something else where even the Chamber of Commerce says, what are you, idiots? Okay.
Yeah.
Spend your political capital.
Yes. Works for me. Okay, next one, I'm assuming.
Yeah, next part of his speech.
Okay.
I think we've got 90 days, if we decide to put this on the ballot, to educate people.
Oh, yes. I had just had to put a pause in there. It's like every single sentence from these guys.
I haven't seen this yet, so this is the equivalent of the exam that you get at the doctor who stretches the gloves out. Yes, he's gonna. Okay, here we go.
As happens with the county commissioner, sometimes, especially Cheryl Walker, I've seen it happen with her lots of times, where she'll say something, it takes about 3 minutes, and you could divide that up into 15 different parts and say, oh man, this sentence all by itself, they have 30 days to educate people.
Yes. And really what that comes down to is, and the basis of that statement is, well, you really don't know. So we really need to educate you, you poor little thing, because you don't understand why this is better for you than what.
No, you don't. No. And why don't they take a hint from Cheryl Walker? I mean, I don't really want them to do this, but with Cheryl Walker, when she put out these junk ordinances, she didn't want a voters pamphlet. Neither did Keith Heck. And neither did Simon Hare. Let's not have a voters pamphlet. Well, how's the education going to work out that way? Well, this way we put a damper on education, which is exactly what people are trying to do with our even the videos. Oh, don't tell people about the details because then they might have a different opinion. You think that's a possibility? Yes, I think it is a possibility.
And if they buck the idea of putting out a voters pamphlet for this, it'll be clear that what he meant wasn't education, it was indoctrination, because what we want to do is give you why you should agree with this, and then we're going to deprive you of any education to the contrary.
So this is what Mike meant when he said putting on the gloves. It's indoctrination. Go ahead and play the next part, please.
To address Councillor Gatlin's comments, overwhelmingly, my conversations with property owners, in fact, I think I can say I don't know one that is not in favor of eliminating their $1.79 levy in favor of the sales tax.
Right, because that's the question you ask them. Listen, we've all heard of push polls, and that's where they call up your house and they say, don't you think it would be great if blah, 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 because they're leading you to the answer that they want. And that's the sort of thing. Listen, I don't know any business owners who actually want this thing. So, pardon me. Let me correct that for a second. I don't know any business owners who this will be affecting that like it, because there are some. I met one the other night that got mad at me for asking him the question, and he's a business owner and he was in favor, but he's not one of the business owners that's going to be affected by it.
He actually grabbed Mike's microphone. That's pretty affected. All right. Yeah. But this sounds very familiar. This is very much like when Cheryl Walker went on a junk ordinances. Remember the ones that went down by 80%?
80%.
She was flooded with people who were telling her what a great idea this was. She should have only allowed people who were at the store that she saw that day, only allow them to vote, because all my feedback and all the emails and all the phone calls, and I'm getting flooded with people who love this idea. Well, maybe they don't vote.
Yes. Well, and you know what's weird? 80%. To get 80% in an election, you really statistically have to have, most of the people, that are of voting age have to be in that, block that agrees with that. Now, the only time you're going to get an 80% election is if you're in Cuba or Venezuela or Venezuela. Why can't I ever say Venezuela? Venezuela. Why can't I ever say that right? Anyway, that's the kind of election results that you get there, although they get like 92% or something like that. But in order to win by 80%, that's a trouncing like you would. If we had a presidential election where somebody got 80%, they would consider that guy has carte blanche. He can do anything he wants, and the House and the Senate would basically roll over and let him do whatever he wanted to do after that kind of a mandate.
Well, and the result from all that was, did Cheryl Walker or Keith Heck seem to learn any kind of lesson? Are you kidding me? Of course they didn't learn any kind of lesson. They didn't want to ever talk about that again.
Yeah, I think the cornerstone of the campaign against Cheryl Walker, if she does run, I'm assuming that she will, but should be the junk ordinances. I mean, it's just so, and just take it apart step by step and bring people back to it. I'm sure Dale's got plenty of tapes. And
brother, you better believe that I do. The only problem
is, give them the big review.
It seems like half of the county is certain that they can run against Cheryl Walker and win. The question would be who's not running.
Right? Yeah, it'll be like the Republican candidates that we have for president right now. What do we get?
The cattle call.
18 of them at this point,
brother.
Oh, that'll
Okay.
narrow it down.
Next little part from this is Jim Goodwin.
I haven't had that conversation yet, so I am confident the folks that I'm talking to, these aren't business owners, although I was shocked that we had any business owners come out in favor of this. I mean, we never did expect the businesses to be running up and down 6th Street with the sales tax flag, leading the charge on this. That was never going to happen. So I've actually been surprised at the number of businesses that have come out in favor of it. I didn't expect any of them to do it.
Now, hold on a second here. I realized he was trying to be funny there, and there's always going to be somebody who's going to, ha, ha, what a great joke. They're actually putting up a sales tax where the people that are directly affected, number one affected by it, the businesses, they don't even think that they're going to be approving of this. Really? Then what are you doing?
Yes. It's because they don't care. What this is about is not about keeping adequate funding for law enforcement, because they already have that, by the way. You know, grants passed, they're doing pretty well in that department. This is about getting more money. They're anticipating $8 million from this. They're getting $5 now from the levy, and an additional $1 million from this the water and sewer tax fee. So what they're wanting to do is get $8 million. That's give them the $5 that they already have. They'll throw some more at the jail for the beds. Although this is an interesting thing, because when we have talked to the chief about this on a couple of occasions, and he indicated, yeah, you know, we were bringing a lot more people to jail there for a little while, but then, you know, we looked at the numbers and we weren't taking more people to jail. So, you know, it's questionable whether they actually need to have that $1 million out of that were taken out of the water and sewer fee, although they did renew it. Ooh, shocker. So, no, this is going to be an interesting thing to play out. We'll see. I don't think it's good for business.
I think he's got a little bit extra to say.
Oh, okay.
And it to me, it just goes back to, we're getting dependent on this utility fee, and I hate to mention it, but sooner or later we need to adjust that thing, because we've got a thing called a water treatment plant. So we keep the jail utility fee on there, and we turn around, we kick this thing down the road another year when we really have to consider adjusting that fee. Then we've got the utility fee, and we're increasing the fee to fund our water treatment plant.
Wow. This is obviously something that these people are talking about behind closed doors here, that, you know, that we're going to have to bump that up. So let's get rid of it, and then we'll bring it back. But it's not for the jail thing, because we already have that taken care of. This is about the water treatment plant.
Precisely.
Yeah. You know, when you get a fee or a tax or something like that and put it in place, and then, you know, try and get that rescinded, that's a toughie. That's a toughie for these guys. They're not going to want to do that.
Well, their city lawyer, Mark Bartholomew, said on Tuesday afternoon, he said, this is going to kill him. All we need to do is have a voter's pamphlet to put in the exact quote. He said, well, the city council very well may be, after you voted these down, may very well bring them right back.
Yes. They have the power to do that.
That's what he's saying in a court of law in front of everybody. This is how confident that they are. Oh, well, we may just bring it back. After we voted it down, you might just bring it right back. You just heard this guy say the reason why. It's going to come back, but it will no longer be the jail utility fee that's on your water bill. Instead, It will be we need the money for a sewer treatment plant fee. And that's really, you haven't voted anything down. This is what I was trying to tell the judge. It's like voting to say, I want better weather. You have no ability to control that, but they want you to think that you do.
Well, the city attorney also said that the city has the power to enact this sales tax without a vote of the people. So you ought to consider that, because that's probably what's in the pipeline if they don't get it passed by a vote of the people.
And
now,
why did he say was the answer about why they're putting it on the ballot, Mike?
No, because the politics are a lot better if the people say, yeah, sure, give it to us, than it is if you, if thrust it upon them.
Do you ever feel like you're being lied to or manipulated?
Never. That never happens. Only when government speaks.
Okay, let this character, I think he's almost done. Go ahead.
Okay.
So I'm in favor of just putting it out there. And we've got, like I said, 90 days to do the education piece. And if it gets, if it's voted down, then it's voted down. We go back to the drawing board.
There you go.
We go back to the drawing board. In other words, we're not gonna forget about it. We're gonna go back and start planning the next big deal. But here's an interesting thing on the water and sewer fee. They're getting $1 million right now for the jail bed situation. This water treatment plant is like upwards of between 80 and $100 million that they're forecasting the need for. To do this, and to get $1 million a year from this water and sewer fee, I'm sorry, that's going to take too long. That they're not going to be able to get it. So the shaft is coming, and whether it comes in the form of a water and sewer bill, or they put a levy on or float a bond or whatever they do, you can expect to be paying a lot more money in Grants Pass in the next few years.
And the clue to all this about whether they'll ask us or not is they said the reason they put this on the ballot to get rid of something that they desperately need is it sounds good politically, but they put this thing on without asking you whether you want it or not. They indicated that they could do this thing that they're asking you to vote on without whether you want it or not. And they also indicated that they could very well turn around right after the election and put it back on.
Right.
Put it back on.
Right. And you know why they're doing the go to the people thing with the sales tax? Because the sales tax is $8 million. This water and sewer fee is only $1 million. Okay, so there's a big difference in what they get coming in. They would rather have this, they can't hit you with $8 million. I mean, that would be a tremendous amount. They'd have to, I don't know what they would assess, to get this $8 million of the water and sewer fee. And they'd certainly have to do something else, or your water bill would be a couple $100 a month for the next 10 years.
The other thing that we need to take into consideration is all over the state, there are city and county governments that are salivating. They're waiting to see what's going to happen in Grants Pass, because Grants Pass is the first one in the state to consider to actually seriously consider doing this. They're all looking. So imagine what the result would be if it passes in Grants Pass, boom, 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 all over the place. Okay.
Right.
Then imagine what would happen if it didn't pass. Well, it's going to come back in one form or another, if not here, somewhere else, but it's going to put a chill on that. So you're not just, I'm one of the people voting on this. It's not just about Grants Pass. It's about the whole state. You want to be like California? Next person, please, Mike.
I want to start out with, I want to use an old saying, since I'm old, that a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. And we have $1.79 now.
Yes.
That's all he said.
Well, that's what when it went black. So I'm assuming that you wanted comment on that. I have comment on that. They do have
about the bird in the bush, or
right. Yes, the burning bush of birds.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's true. They're going to give up the property tax. Now, what's going to happen if their forecast for $8 million was woefully wrong? Like all of a sudden they get $3.5 million or something.
Oh, it's happened before. That kind of stuff has happened before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what he's saying, and this is a guy that voted against it. He was one of two. He and Lily Morgan voted against it. This guy's real weak in his opposition to this. And he's saying, well, listen, we've already got some money in our hand. What are we doing here giving it away? Which is a good question, which is one of the things I brought up in front of the court. I said, how does somebody, let's suppose that you have somebody that wants to hire this, hire that, and hire everything. How's he supposed to vote on this? Because he's voting no on two things that he wants and yes on another thing that he wants. That's not right. Or what if you didn't want any higher taxes? How can you say no? Well, you can't. So they're stacking it up against you. Plus, it doesn't mean anything. They told us in the courtroom in front of the judge, that they could bring it back anytime they wanted to. So your vote truly just means nothing. I'm going to vote no, if for nothing else, because they're lying to us. They're trying to manipulate us. I don't like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
If we do give this up, and I talked about my concern last week about if this vote comes to a yes vote and is passed by the people, if the percentage that we're using is not enough and it doesn't cover the expenses that we're going to incur, I don't think that we would get a vote of the people to raise the tax base, the percentage. Is what scares me.
I feel like I was watching a Chinese movie or something, because the sync is off a little bit on the sound. But
that's not our fault. That's the fault of David Reeves in particular. Go ahead, Mike.
I basically I don't have any opinion. You're right. His argument is so weak that it doesn't even provoke my normal impassioned response.
Whoa. Okay. Sorry, girls. Go ahead, Mike. Play the next part.
And I also don't think that we might not be able to pass another tax levy like the $1.79. But saying that, for the last little over almost 2.5 years that I've been a councilman, we've talked about where we're headed by the end of the levy. We are going to be short. We already know that.
Well, first of all, this guy is short. But go ahead, Mike.
Oh wow. Jeez. Okay, yes, political correctness is out the window now. We're going to be calling him a midget next or something?
No, what he's saying, we're all short. He just wishes we were all short. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, why? Why are we short? If we're going to be short, if we know we're going to be short in 2 years, how come we aren't spending less money to make sure that doesn't happen? Well, I mean, you are
asking this question of the city government.
Sense. Yes, that's what I'm asking.
There's your error. It's common sense. That's right. Come on.
Listen, for crying out loud, if you're knowing that you're not going to have enough money, listen, the police department just hired a bunch of people.
That's right.
And I'm sure they're hiring people left and right down at the city hall. Why don't you stop doing that?
Well, all right. So we'll put another question out to our audience. If you know that the city is already saying that it's not enough money, that they can bring it back anytime they want to, you have the power to vote this down, but we can always bring it right back. Why the heck would you vote for this thing?
Yeah, that's right. Why would you vote? And you really have to wonder. I mean, this is a couple of councilmen already saying things that leads me to believe that, they got it in for your pocketbook here in the next few years. They're coming for a lot more of your money, and they're just trying to figure out a way of doing it.
The city attorney said it in a court of law in front of a judge. Well, we can just bring it right back. Well, do you need any more proof than that? I mean, really, what would you be voting on? Well, I like the concept. Well, okay, good for you. But that's not what's going to happen.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, maybe another mass recall coming.
We have new costs that are facing the city. And we're taking it from the general fund. But we've also now brought into the picture new laws that are going to cause public safety some issues. That might mean we might need more people. It's going to be complaint driven. And if we don't have the money to correct all this, we're going to be in worse shape than we are now if we give up what we have.
New laws that are going to force them to buy more people, to get more people to keep these new laws. Is one of these new laws he's talking about this thing about the fact that you can't grow marijuana in a greenhouse because that's now considered outdoors?
Oh yeah, maybe so.
Are they imposing these new laws on themselves?
Well,
new laws.
Okay.
Gun checks?
If you are out of money, if you're facing financial crisis, why would you add a whole new workload to your police department? I mean, is it really important that you go peeking over people's back fences to make sure they're not growing marijuana outside? You know, maybe this is something that, you know, perhaps considering what the future has in store, maybe Grants Pass ought to be, you know, socking away a war chest here instead of spending money like drunken sailors.
No, they should be spending their money on doing very little advertising out any place with John Bowen's new plan for the city and its brand new logo. That what the heck what kind of leadership is this? They obviously don't feel that there's any problem with scraping up more money out of the people. Well, we'll just tell them whatever it takes. Don't tell them it's a permanent sales tax. That would confuse them. That would confuse them.
Well, we have the same problem here as we have nationally, and this is a lot of the reason why you're seeing candidates that have never held elective office before, because that people are saying, you know, politics as usual is not working out. So I think we need to have some other people in there that think differently than you do. So, but these people that we have in there, they're all the same type of thinkers. They're doing and government does the same thing here on a micro level that it's doing at the macro level over there. It's, you know, too darn bad. I'd say the people in Grants Pass ought to start thinking about doing something about it instead of voting for every single levy. How about try and hold the feet to the fire here to see if you can get some responsibility enacted? That's what we've done in the county, and they've had to make moves because they didn't have a choice. They didn't have the funding to go crazy, although they still do on some level.
Yeah, like 90 jobs created from putting a plaque on a rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Play the next part, please.
But be assured, we're going to have to raise. There will be another vote on another, maybe in addition to the levy, because we won't have the money. And we have other projects in this city that have to be done.
Well, and this is from a guy that voted no.
Right.
And he's warning us, well, be assured that we're going to be back. They're back.
Okay.
Who are they listening to? Go ahead, Mike. Play the next part.
Story.
We have infrastructure. We have other things that are needed in this city right now that are going to cost money. And just like Councilor Lindsay said, we can't go back to what we were 3 years ago. We will really be in bad shape if we don't have the public safety money to do what we have to do, and that means the jail. We need juvenile justice, and we need to be able to do something.
What did the statistics show us, Mike?
They don't show us that.
Well, no, wait a minute. they just can't be, full of it all the time, can they? I mean, wouldn't they be telling you the truth about this? Because, and wouldn't the statistics bear them out? As the chief of police said, well, we're not reporting our crimes. No, no, as a matter of fact, he did the opposite. He thought we were sure that we're running the wheels off, and then we look back and we were, oh, actually we weren't, and he said it was all about perception. Their numbers that they are reporting, they can't say, well, we're not reporting them either. They've never said that. They do not bear out what he's saying.
Yeah.
So what are we supposed to base this on? A Ouija board or something? Is it water witching? How are they making up their mind about this?
Yeah, you know what? This is, I think that you have a mindset within local government here that says, well, we need money. We need more money. And listen, whether it's conscious or subconscious, the need for more money to bolster their own salaries, benefits, et cetera, or whether that's just something subconscious that they need to have more money because money solves everything. And we've observed that doesn't work in education. It doesn't work in a number of things that they're throwing money at in mass now. More money doesn't necessarily mean a better result. And according to the stats that we've been studying over the past 6 or 8 months here, having to do with crime numbers, we've discovered that, strangely enough, in the county, when less money is being spent on public safety, the crime numbers are less. And we
dumb. That was some joke that I made, and as it turns out, it seems to be closer to reality than what they're saying.
Yes, and why is that? And we've looked into a number of different possibilities, trying to think that, hey, there's no way that spending less money on public safety could equal less crime, and so far we don't have a good argument for why this is the case.
It's like going back to medieval days. Well, everybody knows if you take a bath more often, you're more likely to die. As it turns out, it's exactly the opposite. Nobody's looking at the facts and figures. They say, well, it ought to be this way. As it turns out, it's not this way. So can we just be maybe a little scientific? We're not going to be scientific about it. Don't show us the facts. We've already, hey. Look, we're never going to solve this problem if we insist on being ignorant about it. It doesn't make any sense to me either, but can we at least be honest and say, okay, well, it looks like these are the facts.
Yes, there seems to be some correlation there, and I would certainly like to know why.
Well, it's very much like this huge argument that they made. Why we're running the wheels off of the Oregon State Police, why they're just overtaxed with having to help us and everything. As it turns out, the Oregon State Police say, that's not true, you guys.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't say it in time for the vote. Thanks a lot, OSP. But now that that's all over, they said, no, actually, we didn't. What do you mean, no, you actually didn't? First of all, I think they should have said something at the time. Thank you very much, OSP. But now one of the reasons that the county sheriff doesn't want to talk to us is Bill Hunker comes on our show. He reveals that OSP says this. And now the sheriff is like, well, you guys are saying things that make me look. Yeah, it does sort of make him look that way, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because it's not true. It just wasn't true. Well, I'm not sure this is helping me. No, that's not helping you. Because what it does is it points out these things that you were telling us, Sheriff, were not true. We encountered this with Gil Gilbertson. Well, I don't like it. That's Gil Gilbertson. Yeah, but Gil said some things that were totally false. 9% of the homes have been broken into. I mean, this just doesn't make any sense on the face of it. And then he didn't admit it in public, but he, kind of slid the paper. Well, actually, none of that's true. Hey! And we're the only ones left over to make up our mind. Now, who's going to bolster what Mike and I are telling you besides Bill Hunker? Well, it's not going to be the county commissioners. It's sure as heck not going to be the sheriff. It turns out it's odd. It's the OSP. But, I mean, where's the courier? Nah. KJO, that's a joke. What's it going to be? The Illinois Valley News? I don't think so. Who's telling you this stuff? We're the only ones telling you, and we're stumbling across it. Oh, look, what's this? Oh, a dead body. Well, maybe we should report. No, don't tell anybody about that. Hey! We're trying to tell you about this stuff because it helps you make up your mind about what you want to do. And meanwhile, I go in and I say to the city attorney, well, who wrote this? I don't know. I don't know? Don't lie to us. I hate that. Okay.
Yeah.
You never would guess that I hate that. Go ahead, Mike, play the last part of his thing.
So I'm still trying to make my mind up by the time we get to voting on this. Thank you.
I'm still trying to make my mind up by the time we get to voting on this. That's how weak the guy was on his no vote.
Yeah.
It was really only Lily Morgan against everybody else. It was so odd. Go ahead.
And her argument was great, you know.
It was great. Well, that's one of the main reasons that one Facebook site just went south on us, because all the rest of these opinions were up there, and those were okay. But then as soon as they see this one from Lily Morgan, and people go, that makes sense. Oh, I'm not going to allow that to be played. Oh, you're banned forever. We can't even look at what they're posting. Not only did they say you can't post, okay, it's your party, but you can't even look at what we're doing. Yeah, it's like your neighbor has an argument with you. You're not invited over here. Oh, well, okay. And plus that, I'm putting up an 11-foot wall, so you can't even see. What?
Yes.
Really?
That's right.
And
it's
I'm
bulletproof too.
Not to listen to you ever again. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird. Oh, that's just weird.
Indeed.
Okay, so we're gonna do one more, and we're only gonna play as much as Mike can put up with, and so this is another guy that was against, believe it or not. So here's one more guy that's very strongly for. I love what this guy says. This is Roy Lindsay, one of the fellows that was trying to shout down the folks who were coming in. It was so odd to sit in this courtroom, and I'm surrounded by lawyers. All of whom have advocated strongly, including Jack Swift, even though he denies it because we've shown you the tape, advocated strongly for raising your property taxes. So I'm saying next to a property tax raising lawyer, across from a property tax raising lawyer, to his assistant who's in that, to the advice that they got that we paid for so that they could raise this, to behind me are property tax raising lawyers. We're the only people sitting there going, I don't think this is a good plan. and I'm on my own. I mean, I've got, notes galore there, supplied reams of notes from Sandy Casanelli. But, there's only so much you can say to a judge who's decided that this is now a philosophical debating society. Is anyone in this life really safe? Are any of us really here? Is it possible that there is such a thing as safety, security, and what does the word permanent really mean? You've got to be kidding me.
Yes.
Okay, so here's Roy Lindsay's version of how this is all going to pass. All they need to do is listen to Roy. You'll see. Listen to Roy now.
A few weeks ago, I was a participant in the Chamber of Commerce survey downtown, where we went from business to business. And I was given the opportunity to walk along G Street and walk into various businesses and ask a series of 5 questions. And the bottom one was, would you favor a sales tax or something like that? Immediately, it was no.
Yeah. So why didn't you? Why is that part of your statistic there?
No, it's not going to be, because he's not really there to do a survey or a poll.
Yeah.
He's there to try to tell people what they should think. Immediately, they're
going to sell them on the sales tax.
Would you like to have the first of its kind in the whole state, and a sales tax, and it's going to affect? Yeah, no, they're saying no, get out. Yeah, but they weren't smart enough to say get out. But later on, I think that some of them ended up agreeing with him to get him out. But go ahead. Yeah. And so here's what he did in response. Rather than just taking the numbers, because it's a poll. No. This is now turned from a poll into something else. Does that sound familiar? Similar to what the SOS and Cuffs guys did? Spent a lot of money to get that poll that was all wrong.
Yeah.
And I said, do you know what it is? Do you know how it would operate? Do you know what it involves? And they said, no, we just don't want it.
That's a big bunch of BS. That's like Cheryl Walker saying, I have said, many people have said to me, why don't you do this? And I said, well, what do you think I should do? Well, that's up to you. That's up to you. Nobody's saying that's all up to you. Nobody said to this guy, well, no, I'm going to be unreasonable. It's what Cheryl does all the time. Well, I asked people and they were so unreasonable that I'm just going to have to make up my mind without them. Come on.
Well, listen, I totally get how they talk to business owners, and the business owners would no, I don't want it right out of the gate. Yes. Because this is bad for business. And the only question is, how bad is it for business? It's a 2% sales tax, so they're going to take a little bit of a hit from people who want to go buy this stuff cheaper somewhere else. They're going to take a little bit of a hit because maybe they're going to subsidize some of that in order to keep their customers. They're right. Also going to take a hit because they're going to have to do all the paperwork, and they're going to have to be filing returns, and they're going to be audited by the city, who questions whether or not they're reporting all of their proper sales tax. Is going to be a whole nother bureaucracy, which is going to cost a whole bunch of money to support. So,
and they're going to have to take one more hit too. Mike has encountered this personally, and so have I, is that there are a lot of people in this town who have no idea that any of this is being talked about even. And so you talk to them, they go, what? And that's what's going to happen. And they go, well, what do you mean tax? There's no tax here. And they've lived here all their lives, and they don't know because they've been involved with something else. They've got other things important to them. Right. And now suddenly it's tax. What tax? Well, the vote that you just, well, I was voting to put taxes down. Well, this is not permanent. Yeah, because they don't want you to know it's permanent.
Well, and this just buttresses the argument that we make constantly, that you have to watch these guys, because if you're not watching these guys, they're hiding the pea under the shelf somewhere. They're moving things around. You're not, you have to watch these guys all the time, because they want more of your money, and it's just a quest to find out the magic way of doing that. And
this is why we must be opposed at every possible step, because we're telling you what it is that they're doing, what they're saying in a court of law, what they're saying in their meetings. And there are people here in this town who do not want you to hear that, because if you hear that, it's like having a voter's pamphlet.
Yes, that's right. That's perfect analogy. You might actually get educated as opposed to indoctrinated.
So it's not enough. See, as was pointed out on this Facebook site, well, why don't you just not read it? Well, I don't like it. Well, okay, you can block it so that you don't even see it. Well, I still don't like it. Well, you can block it so that you don't see it here or any other Facebook site that you go to. It's not enough. What do you mean it's not enough? I don't want anybody to see it. You don't want anybody to see it?
Yeah, that's a different kind of human being. And Dale talks about being American. Aren't we hardy Americans? Well, yeah, some of us aren't even really Americans here, because when you're trying to deprive people of hearing a particular point of view because you're worried about that political viewpoint gaining ground, then wow, are you un-American?
If you don't come here, or you don't tell your friends what's been said here, not just by us, we're nobody. Well, Mike is, but the point is, if you don't tell them what you've seen them saying on their video, right, then there is no voter's pamphlet. You are the actual voter's pamphlet, because you're sharing. And anybody that comes up, and this is a really popular show. I don't know if you know that, but I mean, this is really, really popular in the area of political views and analysis and that kind of stuff. And if you don't tell people what you've seen, then there truly isn't any real voter's pamphlet. You are the voter's pamphlet.
Yeah.
Okay, you just got to hear what this guy has. You need to keep track of Roy Lindsay.
And then I took the time to explain to them what their role was, what it did, how much it was, and the fact that it spread out and also was able to garner some resources from people outside of the city, also garner some resources from the tourists who are used to paying sales tax.
Yes, and after all of that, they finally agreed with me. And I would suggest, Mr. Lindsay, that they were agreeing with you because they wanted to get you the heck out of their store.
Now, so people come here from out of town. They're used to paying taxes. They come here, and what they know about Oregon is there's no dang sales tax.
Right. Except for Grants Pass.
And then they haven't been following why would they be following what's happening in the little place in the middle of nowhere? Why would they even know? And they get here and they say, what do you mean sales tax? This is
right,
Oregon.
but it's not going to be very long before somehow it's going to get out to people that when they're on vacation, most of Oregon doesn't have a sales tax, but that Grants Pass does. So let's just cross that off the list.
Years from now, they'll remember that above some stupid new logo. Sure. They're going to remember that, and they'll just go right on by. Even if that's not fair, even if they have it in Medford by then, they have it in Salem, they have it everywhere else, Grants Pass will be the first one. We're the ones to set the tone. Oh, everybody should come to Grants Pass. They won't come here. Why would they? And they'll remember that about us. It's like Skokie, Illinois or something. What do you remember about Skokie? What do you remember about Birmingham, Alabama? What do you remember about some of these places? The worst possible thing that happened there is what you're going to remember. What do you remember about the East Bay? What do you remember about the LA riots? I mean, that's going back a long time before me. But I mean, what do you remember about these places? You know, that they're infamous cities in America, and we're going to be one of them.
Yeah, but people still come here for the wild and scenic Rogue River.
Oh, the wild and scenic Rogue River that's going to reach all the way up to 6th Street. Okay,
yes.
Go ahead, Mike.
And after I finished, 50% said yes, of the people that I talked to.
Yeah. Yeah, 50% of the people. 50% of the people were so sick and tired of me. They said, yeah, sure, that sounds like a great idea. Hey, listen, I got to get back to work now.
Okay, even if that's true, even if it's true that they truly convinced, this goes back to what Jim Goodwin was saying at the beginning. Well, what are we going to do if 50% of the people say yes and 50% say no? Jim, you have no clue about what to do if half of the people are saying hell no? You have no clue?
Yes.
Don't do it.
Yeah, well, different way of looking at things.
Keep going.
And some would say, I don't care. I don't care what the information is. I just say no.
No. This guy's trying to tell you that he talked logic into him. And that 50% of them said, I don't care what the facts are. I'm still going to say no. This is a straw man. This is Roy Lindsay trying to make it look like the people who are against it. Remember when Cheryl Walker said, when people vote against these junk ordinances, that means they're in favor of rats. No, it doesn't mean they're in favor of rats.
Yes.
Okay?
And listen, maybe Roy Lindsay's argument didn't convince them, and they're fully aware of what the facts are.
No. And his version that he's just trying to sell to you, he said, I told people the facts, and they still said, unreasonable people. Why? I don't care what the facts are. I'm still saying no. Do you think that there's anybody, honestly now, that said to Roy Lindsay, Roy, I don't care what the facts are. I'm still going to vote no. That's the biggest load of BS that we've played on anything here. Man.
I tend to think you're right about that.
That just makes me angry. Keep going, Mike.
And so I think that given what Jim is saying, that provided the proper information, the correct information, the valid information as to what the resolution is and what the sales tax does, I think that carries more weight than just a flat no by business.
I've had enough of this guy.
Yeah. Wow.
Brother. If they get the correct information, Mike, the valid information.
Yes.
If they
Yes,
just told the truth for once.
And we can stick it to business. We can use the people to stick it to business, because that's what this is doing. By the way, this shifts the load of the $1.79 per thousand levy, and it shifts it off of the all the property owners and shifts it onto a much smaller number of people. And they probably think in the way of, hey, let's import some Mexicans to eventually end up being voters for our party. Let's tell these people that they're going to get off of paying the property tax, and then we'll hit them with the sales tax, and then pretty soon down the road we'll just tell them that the sales tax isn't bringing in enough money and that we need another property tax levy. That's how these things go, by the way.
Roy Lindsay is truly interested in making sure people have the truthful information, the valid information. Why would he be against putting the word permanent in the title of this thing? Why would you not want to tell people that? If you really want to get the factual information out there to them, we got to do that because they'll be confused.
Right.
They'll be confused.
Well, hey, listen, you know what I think we should do? I think if they refuse to put out a voter's pamphlet, we should put out a voter's pamphlet. And it can be, digital online and send it out. If you come to, badcounty.com, there it is, or whatever, and have both sides of the argument on there. I'm for them airing whatever they think is the correct information. And, let's have the other side have their say here and, hash this out like we would normally do during
hash
an
it out like
cycle.
Men, like
right.
True Americans. Well, this is exactly what I did for years with First Friday newspaper, okay? Because that was the print version of this show. I would put out a month before the actual voters pamphlet hit the street. We would put out the voters pamphlet, all the details before they wanted to print it. And we would pass that out, and we were passing out copies of that, all free, of course. Everything is free. It's out of my pocket. And they were being put into every bag at Safeway until the Daily Courier came by and was stealing them. Literally stealing them. And I asked the guy, why are you taking these? And he said, well, this is in competition. I said, there's no advertising. It's free. Yeah, well, they're not, hey, and besides, it's not your property. The Daily Courier, why is he so against it? They were stealing them. It would cost me a lot of money to make 5,000 copies, and they would take them all. And there'd always be somebody at the store, here they are, buddy. There's always somebody.
Yeah.
And, the management there, they don't want to be having to watch over something and make sure somebody's not stealing it. What are they going to say? Most people don't say anything. They see something being stolen, they go, oh, see, that's too bad. I'm glad it's not me. So, yes, we're doing it already right here, and that's a good idea. What we're not going to do is the Jim Dittmer, Ward Ockenden, Jack Swift version, where they said at a previous one, we'll put out voters pamphlet and people will think that's the real one. Oh, we never said that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And there's no, I'm going to say, go right ahead. Okay? Because you did. And we're not going to fake the thing. We'll put it out saying, the people's voters pamphlet, not the county's vote, whatever's necessary to do. If we did that, we would be honest about it, because then otherwise we'd be just as bad as the city councilors saying we don't want to tell people.
No, it should have their actual arguments.
The only way it's valid and we've already got their actual arguments. We got them right here. We're showing them to you, right? And the only way that it's valid is if you're honest with people. And then they take this and they put it up against that, and then they make up their own mind. That's what we do here. We toss in our own opinions because, heck, it's our show.